What it do, what the business is, word on the streets, your boy Hoover known to handle the hills, and I'm back at it again with a back at it again, and we back at it again. Today, we're gonna react to the quarterfinals game in the college football playoffs. First and foremost, the game that we have to start off with is the Cotton Bowl. Miami versus Ohio State. Marquee matchup. Superstars all over the field. But the star among stars was none other than Reuben Bain Jr. Let me say his name louder so they can hear it in the back. Reuben Bain Jr., okay? And the reason that he was a star, he was pushing Ohio State offensive linemen, which aren't slouches. These were 5-star recruits. He was pushing these people in the quarterback's lap. Okay? More on the quarterback in a second. Man, this man was beating double teams. When he got single coverage, if he didn't sack the quarterback, he got a pressure. He had TFLs. Like this man, this is his official stat line. He had 3 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a 1.5 TFLs and a sack. Okay, completely wrecked the game. All right, other defensive linemen did their thing too, right? But the star among stars was Reuben Bain Jr. Miami defense as a whole played lights out. They had Ohio State to 45 rushing yards. The Ohio State University, the unbeatable team, the overrated team, if you ask me, but the unbeatable team to 45 rushing yards. They also had 5 sacks. I'm talking about they was beating Julian Sain up. I'm talking about, and it was a specific play in the game by Keontae Scott to where I think Miami was in trips, and not Miami, Ohio State was in trips, and I watched a lot of Ohio State games, being though I'm a USC fan and I'm a Big Ten guy, so I watched a lot. I consumed a lot of Ohio State games, you know. What I noticed was every time Ohio State lined up in those trips, they have 2 wide receivers blocking, and most of the time it's going to be 2 wide receivers blocking for the screen, right? Soon as Julian Sain threw the ball in the flat, Keontae Scott broke on that ball, had a pick 6, right? Before the pick 6, there was a 7-0. The pick 6 put them up at 14-0, which essentially sealed the deal. Ohio State made a run for it, but they sealed the deal. The final score of the game was 24-14. Julian Sain was 22 of 35 yards for 22 of 35 completions for 287 yards passing. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Julian Sain, he's a guy who plays great when he has a lead, right? Because Ohio State pretty much dominated everybody they played on their schedule until they played the best team in the country, which is Indiana. And we've seen what Indiana just did to Alabama. More on that game in a second. Stay tuned. But they got out to Julian Sain. He had happy feet. It was one specific time we had Cardinal Tate open. He hesitated. Feet one set. They get to him. They sack him. Excuse me. But he struggled real bad. Like, they made him look really terrible this game. No disrespect to the kid, you know, because he's a freshman. You know, he should get better, but they made him look ordinary, to say the least. Their running back, Bo Jackson, he rushed for, he rushed for 45 yards. Ohio State ran for 55 yards as a team. 45 yards was the Bo Jackson. And I'm telling you, man, they pushed Ohio State offensive line around. But one thing that stuck out to me with Bo Jackson was he don't know how to pass protect at all. Like, he whiffed on a few of his assignments when it came to the pass blocking scheme. I don't know what he's seeing out there. I don't know if he didn't study film long enough. And again, I'm not trying to disrespect the kid, but it's just like through the whole season, he was pretty terrible in pass blocking. The one bright spot Ohio State had was Jeremiah Smith. And let me just say, Jeremiah Smith is a superstar. Jeremiah Smith registered 7 receptions for 157 receiving yards. He was killing it, man. I'm talking about he was doing his thing. Miami, they was a Simon sound, man. They didn't have too many penalties. I don't think they had one penalty at all. They locked Carnell Tate down. Right? Carnell Tate was killing people all year long. He had 3 catches for 37 yards. I repeat, 3 catches for 37 yards. Right? Carson Beck. If you look at the box score, doesn't exactly tell the truth on his performance. He played a great game. He didn't have no turnovers, no interceptions, which I was surprised because he does tend to give the ball away. He went 19 for 26 completions for 138 passing yards, 1 TD. But again, he didn't have the big interceptions that he normally would have earlier in this year and when he was at Georgia. Another thing that stuck out to me as well with Ohio State. They was pegging Ohio State to have one of the greatest defenses of all time. And they have some studs on their defense. You have Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, the linebackers, the backers. And they have good cornerbacks too. They have a good defense, but I think their defense was overrated because Miami offensive line pushed them around. It was one play in particular that stood out to me. It was when Miami ran the ball and Mauga, pardon me if I'm mispronouncing his name, but the left tackle Mauga, he kicked, he double teamed a lineman, then got up to the field and hit the linebacker, pushed him off his feet, and sprung his running back. I think there was like a 20, 30-yard game. And I was like, wow, I hadn't seen nobody do that to Ohio State all year. Nobody except Indiana, right? That was the only other loss they had. However, Indiana just beat them. Ohio State got bullied by Miami. And that's something you normally don't see. But it was a great game. The Cotton Bowl was a great atmosphere. You could tell I wasn't at the game, but I was watching it live. It just looked like it was a spectacle. You had Ray Lewis and Michael Irvin stalking the sidelines. I mean, you had Hall of Famers all over. Andre Johnson, you had Hall of Famers all over the sideline. And, man, that was a sight to see. Moving on, the next game I seen was Oregon versus Texas Tech. And Texas Tech stunk up the place. I knew that Texas Tech was in trouble when the announcer said that he gave the team 20 days off. I don't think I haven't heard nothing like that. You usually have on these preparations to bowl games, coaches don't practice like they used to back in the day. But you will hear stuff like about them practicing, even if it's light practice or a walkthrough and then one major practice. When I heard that the Texas Tech coach didn't let his players, he gave his players 20 days off, I was like, wow, like they really stood out to me. The score to that game was 23, Oregon, Texas Tech nothing. Texas Tech defense really played a good game, but their offense didn't show up. And that's surprising as well because Texas Tech had a good offense all season long. Like they was giving the belt to a lot of teams, a la Michael Irvin. I mean, Oregon sacked their quarterback 4 times. Oregon had 2 interceptions. Dante Moore didn't have a great game, but he was solid. He had command of the huddle. Oregon didn't have Evan Stewart. He'd probably be back for the next game, but Most of their wide receiving core they had back, and Oregon ran the ball. It was Oregon didn't lean on the passing game. They ran the ball down TCU. I mean not TCU, down Texas Tech throat, and that was crazy to me because like I said, Texas Tech defense was playing lights out all year, and they played good in this game. I mean Texas Tech linebacker out here had 2 interceptions on Dante Moore, but it was a terrible game. Oregon dominated Texas Tech by a final score of 23 to nothing. Another thing that stuck out to me about the Oregon and Texas Tech game was Oregon running game. Like they was just like determined, like we're gonna pound the rock. We're gonna pound the rock. When they smell blood, it's almost like they refuse to just abandon the running game, which is good, right? Because Oregon can play multiple different ways. I hate to say that as a USC fan, Oregon, impose their will on us. But they did. They imposed their will on us in the passing game. This game, they imposed their will in the running game. And that's a good sign moving forward because Oregon, if you're able to be adaptable, if you're able to have that adaptability in these major bowl games, that's going to serve you well. Okay? And that was the Orange Bowl. Again, their final score was Oregon 23, Texas Tech nothing. Okay? Another stinker, and I was shocked by this result. You had the whole panel on College Game Day. Everybody picked Alabama. Everybody was betting on Alabama. When you go in the barbershop, or you go in the grocery stores. I had a dude stop me in the grocery store and say, "Hey man, who do you like in the game?" I said, "You know what? I really don't know, but if I had to bet, I would bet on Indiana because Mendoza and the coach Kirk Cinetti. Kirk Cinetti, he's a great coach, right? Kirk Cinetti authored one of the greatest turnarounds in college football history. Even if Indiana don't win the national championship, what he did in 2 years in Indiana is of legends. Okay, Indiana ran the ball on Alabama for 215 rushing yards. Again, that never happened when Nick Saban was the coach. It rarely, if it did, it was rare, if ever. I think the only time I remember Alabama getting ran on like that was in the playoff game that they had, I think in 2015 with Ohio State, when Ezekiel Elliott ran wild on them. Another thing that stood out to me was the poise that Fernando Mendoza played with. He was tough as nails. When Alabama sacked him, he was getting right back up. That RPO game was lethal. He was efficient. And, what more you could say about this man? That he won the Heisman Trophy for a reason. Indiana held Alabama out of the end zone all day. As you can see, is indicated by the score, 38-3. And Alabama was terrible. Like, they could not run the ball at all. They could not run the ball at all. So that's a recipe for disaster. When you give up 200 yards rushing and you can't run the ball, you become one-dimensional. And it's basically Indiana defensive lineman was just pinning their ears back and getting to the quarterback. Kalen DeBoer should be on the hot seat. What else can you say? Kalen DeBoer, he came from Washington. Where he caught lightning in the ball with a great team. The quarterback at Washington was phenomenal. They had 3 sets of receivers that was great. And they went to the national championship and lost. But not being able to run the ball in Alabama, their fans not going to go for that. If he don't correct that next year, I think that it's a good chance we could see Kellen DeBoer get fired. And in his defense, in Alabama's fans' defense, he should get fired because the standard at Alabama is championships. Ty Simpson was knocked out of the game due to I think he suffered broken ribs. That's unfortunate for the young man. But while he was in the game, before he got knocked out of the game, he wasn't doing much of anything. Because when Indiana shut the run down, and they was just getting out to Ty Simpson all game long. Another game that stuck out to me, man, was Ole Miss. Ole Miss and Georgia. Now, that was a classic, okay? it was back and forth. It went into overtime. You know, Ole Miss won that game by a score of 39-34. The guy Chambliss, oh my goodness, he was awesome, man. The RPO game was out of sight. He was basically, you know, Georgia tried to throw the kitchen sink at him, but he was getting what he wanted to get on Georgia, man. I'm talking about this guy was like he'll extend the plays right before the defenders would get to him and just throw the ball on the rope 20 yards, 30 yards at a time. I'm talking about making accurate throws. His pulls in the pocket was insane. I'm talking about, what more can you say about Chambliss, man? The guy Gunnar Stockton for Georgia had a great game as well. I mean, that kid is tough as nails. And he improved from last year to this year. But I think the key in that game was honestly the kicker. I mean, I think he kicked a 56-yard field goal, kicked another 50-yard field goal. I'm talking about this dude was accurate. It was bombs away. The whole world, even me, I thought Georgia was going to win that game because Lane Kiffin left. You mean, Lane Kiffin is a mad scientist. But the coach, Pete Golden, he had, give him all the credit. He had those boys in Ole Miss ready to play, man. And they went in New Orleans, man, and they shocked the world. They shocked the world because, again, Vegas had Georgia favored to win. Nobody picked them. They had every excuse to go into that game and lay down. But give them credit, man. Give Chambliss credit. Give the kicker credit. The defense, you know, the defense in the game from Georgia and Ole Miss was optional. But, hey, it was a great game, man. Compared to these other games, I mean, what can we say, man? You got to love football. You know, a lot of people complain about Notre Dame not getting in. And I thought that Notre Dame probably should have got in too, if I'm being honest. But it's pretty clear that the committee made the right decision because look at Miami. In my opinion, I think Miami should be favored to win the national championship. I think Indiana is the best team in the country, but in football, it's about the Jimmies and the Joes. And I think that Miami has more dudes than Indiana. However, that don't mean you always win. But if I was a bet man, I would bet with Miami. The only thing about Indiana that scares me is Kirk Cinetti. He has his guys ready to play every single week. And Fernando Mendoza, man, that kid has the right stuff that you need to be a great quarterback in college. And I think he'd be a great quarterback in the NFL. But, hey, welcome to thank you guys for coming in and watching Fly Guy Media TV, where we break down all type of different topics from sports to rap music to sneaker reviews and everything in pop culture. I appreciate the love, and I'm gone. Thank you for watching Fly Guy Media TV, and I'm out.